Good afternoon, students of class 6. Welcome to history class. We are reading about Chinese civilization. Our lesson for today is China in early times and the prevailing mythical stories in the Chinese society of early times. In ancient past, Chinese people began to settle in the valley of the Huanghe River, which is also known as Yellow River. Now, where from these people came, how they built their shelters, what their usages, practices, society, and cultivation were like are not definitely known. We can best form an idea about them from the legends and myths prevalent in the ancient Chinese society. In those days, the Chinese people knew the use of common tools of stone. Gradually, they came to know the use of copper and bronze. They grew paddy, millet, wheat, and other vegetables. They also reared animals. As in other civilization, in early China too, people had a slave owning system. The slaves were tortured by their masters or slave owners. Now this, in short, is the story of condition of China in early times. Now let us know something about the prevailing mythical stories in the Chinese society of the early times. As the Chinese people of the early times could not understand the natural laws of failure of crops and floods, various faiths centering this developed up in their society. They nourished the idea that failure of crops and floods were caused by the harmful gods of wind and rain. Urged by this belief, they gave sacrifices of animal and even men to please the harmful gods. Legend described a formidable flood in China. This was a dramatic 4,000-year-old Chinese myth known as the Great Flood of Gunyu. According to historical texts, Chinese civilization began when Emperor Yu founded the Xia dynasty around 2000 BCE. The story begins with a great deluge during the reign of the Emperor Yao. The Yellow River broke its bank and devastated Yao's territories, flooding crops, trees, and villages. Uprooted from their homes, the people fled uphill to escape the torrential waters, seeking shelter in mountain caves. Emperor Yao first appointed Prince Kun to deal with the flood, but after 9 years of ceaseless flooding, Gun's effort proved futile. As punishment, Gun was killed and his son Yu was ordered to step up to the plate in the wake of his father's failure. Instead of trying to contain the flood, Yu chose to divert it. He ordered channels to be dredged so the flood waters would be drained away. It took 13 years for Yu to complete his task, but the flood waters finally flowed freely into the ocean and he became a hero. Having successfully controlled the flood waters, he gained the mandate of heaven and so began Xia dynasty. Now we can say that possibly there is little truth in this legend, but it glorifies the persistent labor of Chinese people and their struggle to tame the Huanghe River. So this is not just one story or one mythical story that is prevalent in this early Chinese society, but there were numerous of it. You can always find those mythical stories and read it. That would be an interesting read. So that was all for today's class. If you have any problem understanding this portion, you can send your query in the given mail ID. Thank you.